You're listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. I am your host, Al Mega, CEO of Comic Crusaders and Undercover Capes. In this show, I'm sitting down with creators from all walks of life to talk about inspiration, process, the lessons they've learned, and a whole lot more.
Well, Powder Man, this is your boy Al Mega. Welcome to a brand new Comic Crusaders podcast. And we're going to be talking some dope comics today, baby. We have an amazing creator in the building. I mean, he's an artist, he's an author. He be vibing with my music too over here. So I'm already a fan of him. This dope book through Mad Cave called Attaboy, Wepa. And wait till we get into this. Let me introduce this legend right here, the one, the only, Mr. Tony McMillen.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, kiddo. How you doing?
Fantastic. Really good day.
It is a fantastic day. Daniel, was popping. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out. What's going on? So yeah, Tony, for those that don't know, you got this fire book, volume 1, Attaboy, Mad Cape, amazing. But we're gonna kind of reel it back before we, drop that. I got a PowerPoint to show folks so you can see how beautiful the book is from Mad Cave, right? And we're gonna get into some stuff. So let's reel it back. Big Tone, tell me where you from originally, and what was the first thing in fandom that you ever fell in love with?
Okay, so I've been all around, but mostly I grew up in Arizona, Tucson, Arizona, for like 20 years. But now I'm in Massachusetts. But I've been in Florida, all over the place.
All right.
But, when it comes to pop culture, the big thing was summer of '89, the summer of Batman. That movie hit like an atom bomb. It got me into Frank Miller, Dark Knight Returns, and it just kind of snowballed from there. But I was like, I don't know, 9 or 8 years old when that happened. It was perfect age. I saw it moving to the theater, and I was just awestruck. Batman was everything.
Yeah, I was 12, 13 at the time. Saw it in Brooklyn, and they decided to throw fireworks inside the theater when it was over. And they were shooting bottle rockets. A few exploded by me. It's summer, and I'm wearing shorts, so my legs are getting burned. And my mom's cousin, second cousin to me, I guess, right? She was like, "What's wrong? Don't you hear this shit? I'm getting burned." Yeah, literally, there was a hole in my sock. I'm like, "What do you think this is?"
That's what Tim Burton wanted. I think he wanted that kind of experience for you. I wish mine was just I just saw it, but that's amazing.
No, that's Brooklyn back in the day. At least I prefer bottle rockets over bullets, so not a problem. So, all right, so you fell in love with bats and getting into your John over here. Were you alone in your fandom? Because being you said that you're all over the place, were you kind of a lone wolf then in your geekiness?
No, I don't know, not really. Because the thing for me is like what I remember of the late '80s and the early '90s was that like Image Comics and everything else made comics really cool. Like everybody was into comics. Like didn't matter who you were. There were jocks in the comics. They're nerds. They're like everyone at least kind of knew like some of the big stuff. Like everyone kind of like, oh yeah, I like Jim Lee. Oh, I like Todd McFarlane. People knew their names. So it's funny. I never felt like a dork. I was a dork, but I didn't feel like a dork for liking comics because like anyone kind of, at least most of the boys kind of dug comics at the time. It was big.
Yeah. All right, cool. So, all right, so here you are, you're digging into the journey, everybody's cool. So what made the creative spark happen? When was that day? How that all happened, if you will?
I think I always liked to draw. Even before I got into comics, I liked to draw stuff. I was really into like mythology and dinosaurs and kind of the usual stuff. But seeing comics, seeing Frank Miller stuff, seeing Eric Larson, Spider-Man, Todd McFarlane, Spider-Man, all those books, Sam Keith's early stuff, something about that really sparked my imagination. I really enjoyed that you could have a whole story. And I realized even then, like, you know what? Just one guy could do this. When I was a little boy, I wanted to be like a movie director, and that was my big dream. And I still love movies, but I realized, you can't make a movie by yourself. You're gonna need a lot of money. You're gonna need a lot of help, a lot of people. You need actors. But a comic book, yeah. But it's like a comic book. I was like, you know what? A guy could do this. A person could just do this by themselves. And I was, even as a kid, I like to be alone a lot, and I didn't like to rely on people. So more and more, it became really appealing. I was like, oh, I could just do a book. I could do a comic book myself. Because I had friends, we all try to do comics together, and they kind of flake out, and I'll be really obsessed with it. And I realized, well, no, not against them, but like this shit is like really important to me. And
everybody's passion is the same, and that's okay, not a problem. It's fine. But don't egg me on, motherfucker, if you're not gonna take it serious.
Yeah, exactly. I was one of those kids too. Like, I like that. I had plenty of friends. We had good times, but there were times kids wanted to like hang out, and I was like, I'm gonna go draw. I'm gonna do my own thing. They're like, for real? We're gonna do this. We're gonna go outside and do this, and that. I'm like, I'm good. And it'd be kind of weird to them. I got that, but I was like, it's not against you. I really got to do this thing, and I got to be alone to do it.
Listen, some of us that had kind of that entrepreneurial spirit at a young age, kids our age didn't get it. But luckily, I at least had two friends, well, they did their thing about getting money, if you will, and understood the entrepreneurial side of stuff. You know what I mean? So even to this day, when they call me, if I can't answer, I'll call them back in a bit, whatever. They just know, that's how it's busy.
Right. Exactly. They can appreciate the hustle. They understand you got your own thing, and it's not against them. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that was a good friend. A big shout out to Ed Copy and all the boys out there. All right, so with that, all right. So you said you were always into doing the thing, but and here you are taking it serious, amongst your friends. But when was it serious and professional? When you said, "Fuck that, I'm going in, I'm diving into this pool right now."
Well, here's the fun flip side, right? So I always liked comics. I was drawing comics, but then eventually I had a thing. I think happens to a lot of people where, I became a teenager. I started playing guitar, and I got into rock and roll, and I was in a couple bands, and I also got this thing where, I think it happens to a lot of people where, I had a acquired taste. I had developed. I think this is good. I think this is bad. But my own skill was not at my own taste yet, and so I got really discouraged. I was like, "Oh, I'm not as good as insert anyone I liked, Frank Miller, whoever." And I was like, and so I kind of said, okay, maybe comics is not the way. Maybe I'll write novels. I'll do this and that. And that took me a while. And so eventually I did publish some prose novels, and I kept finding ways to put illustrations in them, but they weren't comics yet. But I was like, I just want to scratch that itch a little bit. And then eventually I was, I believe this is like, I'm 42 now. I think I was like 32, like 10 years ago, maybe 9 years ago. I was reading Michel Fife's Copra, and
great book, yeah.
It's incredible. And it honestly changed my whole perspective. I saw this book and I was like, this is so alive. This guy is going for it. And I was like, I gotta try to do a comic. I need to do a comic. And I've told him, I was like, hey man, thank you. I told him to his face, like, I wouldn't have done anything without you. His whole thing. So that changed my whole mindset. And the funny thing is, when I finally started doing comics, I realized like I should have been doing this like for the whole time. I'm not that I'm great, but I'm better at this than anything else I've tried. And I love all those things. I love comics, but comics is like a natural fit. I was like, oh, everything comics is in me. So, I wasted some time, but now I'm making up for it big time.
So I'm loving it because I know that in the pre-show, so you reminded me of something, right? So yeah, you definitely make Copra. Here you go, guys. So you understand Copra? Yep, absolutely. And the design style, but then in the coloring style, you reminded me of this book. I don't know if you ever read that.
I haven't. It looks cool though. It looks really cool. What's?
Oh yeah, it's about the God is red. So think about this: a Soviet god, atomic energy, and it's a crazy effing book. But the painting, how you colored this particular book, took me back to this one. But then the artistic style of the characters themselves, though, definitely. I see the inspiration there, Tony. I mean, it is the one book. Yes, folks, I'll show you in a bit. Be patient. All right. So. All right. So you saw Copra. You reached out. He spoke back.
Yeah, and Michel Fife is such a inspiration on every level too, like artistically, but also just the way he's doing things. He sells his book through Etsy, and he mails each issue out. And I realized, yeah, you could do that nowadays, and you could print a full color comic, and that's doable. It's no big deal.
You don't need a publisher. You just need a printer.
Yeah, exactly. And what I also responded to Michel's Copra was like, he's doing superheroes, but he's doing them in a very idiosyncratic, weird way. He's doing his own way. And so it's like when I like directors who do, like, maybe they're doing a genre movie. It's a bank heist movie, but it's really weird and psychedelic and just trippy, and it's its own thing. And I was like, yeah, this way anyone could pick up this book and probably enjoy it. But if you're like a real head, you're like, oh, this is not like the mainstream thing. This is a different version of this. So it kind of appeals to a lot of people, and it appeals to me on those levels. So yeah, Michel Fife's whole thing, like it just knocked my socks off, you know. And like I still read every issue of Copra. Everything he does is important to me. He's got a new book, which is basically his like DIY guide to making comics and publishing them, all that stuff. It's coming out. And it's like, you know, I've been doing comics now for I guess 8-9 years or something like that. But I'm still buying it. I'm still gonna probably learn a whole bunch just for him just dropping knowledge nonstop.
So, well, you decided to take the step again to do prose and then step into comics. I mean, what did people think? You know, within your family or your scope of friends? Did you tell them, or you just went ahead and just I jumped in and did this? Buy it.
And the thing is, you know, I have some family and friends who kind of care, but mostly people, you know, it's no big deal, but like they're not really into what I'm doing, which is fine. And in a way, it's kind of liberating. So I'm not worried about anyone going like, "Oh my God, Tony, this is pretty screwed up. Like, what are you doing?" They don't care. So it's like, all right,
are you okay?
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah. Like, and so I feel like totally like free to do whatever I want. But yeah, with the pro stuff, you know, I was doing okay. I was getting I was an independent author. I had one book out through a small publisher, and I was doing okay. But I almost instantly, my comic book work, the audience was like double what my prose work was, and it kept on growing. And it was, at least for me, it was way easier to go, hey, would you want to try this comic book? Then like, hey, would you like to read this 300-page novel? It's like, and I get that's an investment in time, and a comic book, you know, it's a little bit easier, a little more casual if you want it to be. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's so funny to me that I love comics more than anything, but it took me so many years to just go for it. And like I said before, I think I was intimidated by my own development of taste, and my skill not meeting that taste. And I realize now you're probably never gonna meet what you aspire to, and it's totally fine. It's totally fine to just keep on trying anyways. Like I remember like Jimi Hendrix had this thing where someone's giving him a compliment and he's like, you know, thank you very much. And he's like, the truth is there's sounds in my head I can't do. I'm still trying to get those sounds in my head out, but I really appreciate you liking what I've done. And if Hendrix could say that, then it gives me hope. It's like, it's okay. It's okay. You're gonna feel like you're not hitting it, but you can keep on aspiring too.
Absolutely. There we go. So what was the first project you did then that you put out there, you know, in comic book format?
Yeah, so the first comic I did all by myself. I did a comic where I wrote the book and someone else drew it, and that was called Oblivion Suite, and that was a good learning curve because Oblivion Suite was me learning, especially as a writer. Oh, like you only have so much space in these panels. What are you doing? And so I had to learn that the hard way. So
I'm sure coming from prose to comics is definitely going to be a learning curve. Like, wait, I can't. Shit.
Yeah, the biggest thing that helped, I realized, was like I write songs and I sing songs, and I was like, you know, it's very similar. You have so many syllables, you have so much space. It's all about space. You can't really break that, or your melody is shattered or whatever. Comic books are the same. So then I did my first comic book called Lumen, and Lumen was an action adventure sci-fi comic about a world of endless night and a hero with a lantern. He's fighting these like mushroom monsters. It's real crazy, and it was basically like I just want to draw cool shit happening like nonstop. And I think the first 13 pages were wordless, and I really embraced like comics as visual, and that was a huge learning curve in every way because I was figuring out how to do comics, and I realized so many things which I read a million comics but I didn't realize how they worked, and then I kind of am slowly figuring out the actual like bones and skeletons of a comic, why this panel to this panel is effective, why this is not, all those things. But Lumen was my first thing. I did 4 issues of that. I sold it through Etsy, and people dug it, and I was really happy. And you know, my friggin' hero Michel Fife, I was talking on Facebook, and he's like liked something, and we had a little exchange, and I was going to buy one of his new issues. He's like, let's do a trade. And I was like, oh shit, okay, great. Yeah, like that felt great, like that alone. And that was the start. I fell in love almost instantly doing Lumen, and so I knew like I'm going to keep on doing more and more comics now. This is my number one thing now.
Beautiful, beautiful. So after that, how many more stuff before you came to this bad boy here?
Yeah, so I did Lumen 4 issues, and then I did a book called Serious Creatures. I did 6 issues of that, and Serious Creatures was a very different thing. It was basically it's about the rise and fall of special effects in Hollywood. And it's about the practical effects. So basically, it's like it's almost like Boogie Nights or Goodfellas, but it's about effects guys in the 70s all the way through the 90s. And so I had a character named Bobby Feckle, who's 14 years old in the late 70s, who's working in Hollywood, and that's based on a real guy named Rob Bottin, who worked on Star Wars when he was 14, and he did a bunch of stuff. Wow. Yeah, in Star Wars, it's crazy. So he was a tall kid. He's like 14, but he's like 6 something. He played one of the Mos Eisley players, like in the little aliens like mask. And the story goes, he's on set. It's his first day in Hollywood on a set. In between takes, a guy walks up to him and goes, "Hey, you're kind of young. Like, what do you think? You think this movie's gonna like work?" And he's like, "Honestly, I think it's kind of silly. It's kind of stupid. All these aliens in a bar. It's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of dorky." And the guy's like, "All right, all right." And he walked away. And then the guy who's Rob's mentor is like, "Hey, what did George want?" And he was like, "Who's George?" And that was Hollywood. Yeah. And so I heard Rob Bottin tell this story now as a grown man. I was like, "Oh, that's amazing. That was your life." And so I based a comic kind of on his career. So that was my big like literary comic about special effects and about big kind of it was very different than Lumen. Lumen's very action packed. But I did 6 issues of Serious Creatures, and after that, I was like, okay, I had this idea for a long time, and the idea was basically, I loved old video game manuals. I love like the Zelda manual, the Mega Man manual. I was like, there's got to be a way to do a comic book in that style. There's got to be something. I had that for years. I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Really stopped, dude. Like really, like right? Like what happened?
Yeah, it's weird. I almost wonder if it's just like, the internet, right? So it's like, well, you can just go onto a website. I guess you need instructions or something.
Listen, I'm in front of my TV screen. I don't want to go back to another damn. Give me my book. I go hold in my lap, look down, and
Yeah, 100%. And like when I was a kid, I remember being really little, like 7 or 8, and my older cousins would be playing Zelda, and it was too complex for me. But I could look at the manual, I could get into those pictures and kind of get a little bit of the story. So I basically figured out the other angle I needed was a personal angle. And that became Attaboy, and that was my 3rd book. And so that was like 4 years ago, and I did a Kickstarter, and the original version of Attaboy was treasury size. It's just fucking huge.
Yeah. I got treasuries on the wall over here, man. I had to get the ones that I had to get with the Conan. So I got all 3 Conans.
I got one Conan. I got the one with red nails.
Okay, I got it.
Barry Windsor Smith, yeah, and then I did Kirby for me. I did do like the 2001 Kirby and Captain America and stuff. I'm a big Kirby guy, so
I got the first issue, Hulk on a Rampage, and then I also got DC one, Secret Origin Supervillains, because of course I love my villains. I got both volumes on that. Also the Mighty Avengers one, number 7. Yeah, there we go.
I think the first one I got was a Thor one, and I really love that. But yeah, I mean Treasury. I wish every book was that big. It's gorgeous, it's huge. And so I did Attaboy. I was like, I want this to be like an event. I remember like Tarantino had this thing when Kill Bill came out. He's like, okay, I need to like make this like a rock concert. This, when you go to the movie theater, I want this to be like, you're not just seeing a movie. It's not just a story. It's like a full-on experience. And so Attaboy, I was like, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to be really loud. And so I did this big edition of it. Kickstarter did great. People dug it, and it sold out pretty quickly. So I made some money. I didn't like lose money on it, but making it big, it's not cost effective. So I realized the next edition will have to be a regular size thing. And that was doing really well. And that was I moved on some other projects, but basically I was like, I kind of had a feeling Attaboy was like my potential hit single. I was like, I think this could be big. And so I kept on in the back pocket looking for someone to help me publish it and kind of re-release it. And I finally found that with Mad Cave.
Look, all right. So before we get to the Mad Cave talk, why Kickstarter initially as a creator? What got you, liking that stuff?
So it's funny, like I was initially kind of resistant to Kickstarter. I sort of was like, it's like panhandling. Like, what are we doing? Like, I don't know. I felt kind of weird. And then I realized, wait a minute, you're being ridiculous. You have backed Kickstarters. You like Kickstarter because it gets people's attention. There's no denying that. Like it's a great advertising for your book. Because the truth is, all the projects I do, if I don't do Kickstarter for all of them. I just do it for certain ones. But even if I wasn't, I'm gonna do the book no matter what. I'll figure out a way. I don't need people's money to make this happen. I'll make it happen. But the projects I've done on Kickstarter have reached more people just because people go to Kickstarter. It's like it's walking to one of the biggest shops on the internet. People just are browsing. And so that's been huge. And like Attaboy did really well. And before I did Attaboy, I did Serious Creatures, the collection of that. I did the single issues on my Etsy shop. The collection was on Kickstarter. And so I was like, okay, I got some people who dig my stuff now. I got an audience. And Attaboy was the first thing I did where people were actually anticipating it a little bit. Like I have a very small but kind of cult audience. And then people were like, yeah, I can't wait for Attaboy. And I was like, I hope I don't fuck this up because no one usually cares about what I do. So Attaboy was like, all right, here we go. And people, luckily, everyone loved it. And I was very happy about that. But Kickstarter was a big part of making that, make a dent, I think, make people pay attention.
And you know what? There's another one too, because this is a machine-based hero. It also kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you know this one, Engine Head.
Let me see. No, Engine. No. Is there a drawing of it? You got a picture of him?
That's him right there on the cover. You see him?
Oh, yeah. No, he's cool looking, man. He's really cool. But no, actually, this is DC too, huh?
Yeah, this is a little bit older. I had collected this because I always had to get the different shit that they were doing at the time. Because they are a lot. I don't know, back in the days, before I don't know, they had a little bit more freedom and would come up with these weird creations like this. I fell in love with it. I mean, the homie's made of garbage.
I love it. Yeah,
it's fucking dope. I mean, he's a machine-based superhero and shit in Irontown.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, check it out. But yeah, again, you brought me a lot of similarities here that I fell in love with. I was thoroughly enjoying it because, again, I also come from that generation. So you gave me this side-scroller feel, all this shit too. I was like, all right, wait a minute, what's going? Yo, fucking guy, bro. Where's he from? What are you doing to me? I'm digging this shit. Let's check it out.
Yeah, part of it too is like I think we're all kind of we're almost drowning in nostalgia, and that there's some of it's too much, right? And so this book, it kind of has its cakes and eats it too. Like there's parts of it which are supposed to remind you of Mega Man, or remind you of like Ninja Gaiden, Zelda, all these great games. But then it's also kind of like, hey, too much of that could be too bad. You gotta move on with your life a little bit, and you gotta try for something new. And like so, Mega Man is a big inspiration. Astro Boy was an inspiration, but also like I don't know, he's Attaboy is his own weird little guy, like his own. I love drawing the guy. I love my character Lumen also has a very triangular looking like helmet. I'm way into upside down triangles. I know it's like the Wolverine in me or something. I just love that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh man, there were moments. Oh man, yeah. Yep. I saw it absolutely. So tell people a little bit about who this character is. That's right there that we're showing off right now.
Yeah, so what's I think interesting about the book is it sort of works on a couple different levels. And so the book opens with the narrator saying, hey, there was a video game from when I was a kid that no one else seems to remember. So you get sort of a Mandela effect thing where it's like, he's like, this game existed, but no one seems to talk about it. And so he's trying to remember the game. And so he was like, I'm going to start drawing my own manual and try to remember this thing and see if it's real or not. And he's sort of talking you through the game. And so the game is about a character named Attaboy. He's a little cyborg boy, and his dad's name is Dr. Atta, and Atta gets aced by Motherboard, who's this big, like, cyborg creature who's basically Attaboy's mother, and she destroys Dr. Atta, and Attaboy kind of vows revenge, and it's sort of like this big, quest to avenge his fallen father. But then the narrator keeps talking, and as he keeps talking, he starts talking about his actual life, and you never see the narrator, you never see what he's talking about, but he starts talking about his own parents' divorce and how the games kind of seems to reflect some of his own life stuff. And so what I'm trying to do is basically you have the book works as a fun adventure action epic, right? But it also works as a little bit more personal if you wanted to go into that territory with talking about why we as people we look for escapism, we look for stories and sometimes escapism can also still make you kind of confront things about your own life, but maybe in an indirect way, and maybe that's the best way to do these things. And so I don't want to hammer anyone over the head with this stuff on the story. The story's still fun and exciting, but I think if you want to, those elements are definitely there, and you can pick up on them.
I mean, it's not hit over the head, but as you take the ride, you notice and feel some things. I know I did. I was like, oh shit, could relate to that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So thank you for creating so many relatable moments in the story.
Thank you, man.
Again, that's what makes the story fun, and the art, I mean, blew me away. I mean, it's vivid, if you will.
Thank you. You know, what I strive for of art is to make something really distinct and something that is its own thing. Because like that's what I respond to. All my favorite artists are very much their own kind of look, or if they're even a musician, I like people who have weird voices that sound like themselves. And like with my art, I've always kind of I've been leaning towards weirder stuff. Like, and when I say weird, it's just kind of its own thing. And I have tons of influences, but I think part of it is me being a bad impressionist. Like I do a poor version of everything, so it kind of looks more unique because I'm just bad at it, you know. So like I could look at something and go, oh, I'm trying to do John Romita Jr. and people are like, what? I'm like, no, I'm trying. It's not coming off, but and that still kind of it turns into its own mutated little thing.
So is this your best Kirby here? Because that's kind of reminds me of over here. Holy shit. Pretty fire, man. Love it.
Yeah,
I love
thanks.
this.
Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely there's Kirby in there. There's some Ashley Wood. There's probably even a little Eric Larson, but it's all mushed together and coming out through me, so it looks like that. But yeah, I love and also color wise, my favorite colorist is Lynn Varley. She did most of the Sin City, or sorry, the Frank Miller stuff like Dark Knight Returns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I always dug her stuff, and I was really that and Basil Gogos, who did a bunch of old horror art for like Famous Monsters magazine, and he always does like he'll do like Dracula or Frankenstein, but they're all kind of rainbow colored and psychedelic and 60s ish, and I always love that. It looks like an oil slick rainbow. It's kind of all dirty, but like colorful, and so I always like doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, again, this looks fantastic. I mean,
Thank you.
everything. You definitely capture the size between homie and what this is. Because when you see that hang, like, oh shit.
Yeah, right. You feel like it's got to be humongous, right? Like that's what I was hoping for. Yeah.
This is definitely needs to be a black light poster, bro.
Oh man, I would die for that. It'd be great.
And look, I mean, and then look at here. Of course, you look at my favorite color, of course, in the background over here. What is popping here? I mean, look at this. This is the manual as you were talking about, right? The system. Look at this. I dig
Exactly.
this.
So I get to invent a little system, and there's like one of my things too. I love the manuals, but I also love like like Nintendo Power and Game Pro and all those guidebooks. Yeah, those things are great. There's one for Ninja Gaiden that I remember actually had like a 11-page manga in it, but also had these like level guides, and I used to just pour over that, and like it was so important to me. I'm like a third grader trying to figure out how to beat this game, and my mom just kind of laugh at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh no, I get the key to do this and do that, and like it was super important stuff as a little kid.
Yeah, I know. Definitely, my mother looked at me weird, so I didn't try to play the adventure game. I get into the fighting game. So, all right, here, Ma, you want to play with me?
Oh yeah, that's I definitely I've had Street Fighter 2 with my mom, Mortal Kombat, like all that stuff, and yeah, she lasted a few rounds. Like I don't get this. What are you doing?
I'm enjoying beating you up, Ma. You don't know.
Right. Exactly.
All this time you scream at me, told me to clean my room, Toma. All right. Yeah, love it. All right, but again, I love it here. The system you made, everything kind of very. It reminds me of a bigger version of a TurboGrafx 16.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, of course. That thing was like too short-lived. That was really good.
Yeah, man. Card-based gaming, like credit card, not even a cartridge. It was the fucking like a credit card, guys. I mean, they were way ahead of their time.
Yeah, and that's probably the problem. That's exactly what happened. They were just
like Dreamcast ahead of their time, because that shit came with a fucking modem. People, that shit could go online before any other system. Honestly, built in.
It's so weird though. It's like if you were ahead of your time, it's like it's not going to work, right? But then like
they punish you.
But exactly, they punish you, and then later on, people are like, oh, it's great, and it's like I wish you guys were there 3 years ago, 10 years ago when we were trying this thing. It's always.
Yeah. I get to the point of seeing the retro shit now, and then they go back. Oh man, that game system! Wow, that was so great. I'm like, where were you when we needed that support? Because I loved the Dreamcast,
right?
And that was also the short damn Sega.
Neo Geo, Dreamcast.
Neo Geo.
Yeah, that's some good fighting games too. Like I think there's King of Fighters on that. There's a bunch of good stuff.
The one thing I do have still is my Neo Geo handheld.
Oh, really? Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I got Samurai Showdown, Pac-Man, and one other game. I forgot the other.
Samurai Showdown's kind of the shit. I remember that.
Oh yeah, that was a great game in the arcade, man. Like, you know how many arguments people got into over that game?
Well, I was talking on Facebook a few months ago. We had this arcade in Tucson called what the hell was it called? Doesn't matter. Point is, it's called Aaron's Billiards. So it was a pool hall and an arcade. But back in the day, kids would go there and everyone's smoking. I think they actually did sell alcohol, not to the kids, but whatever.
Yeah.
But we would gamble on games like Street Fighter 2. You exactly, and people get into fights over it because that's like your money. It was great. It was like to be like a 12-year-old kid going to this thing. It was amazing.
My ex-brother-in-law almost got his ass kicked in New York once because he kept beating everybody in Mortal Kombat. And he kept beating this dude nonstop. I kept putting quarters down, and he's like, "Yo," he was mumbling it, but loudly, like, "If I lose one more time, I'm gonna punch this motherfucker in his face." So he was with one of his friends. His friends was like, just lose, bro. We gotta go. Come on, bro. Just lose." He didn't want no beef.
I remember that we were like, I don't know, 12 or no, maybe 11. Anyways, my buddy Grant, we're at a 7-Eleven. There's a Street Fighter 2. We're playing. There's some kids who actually went to our school, but they're a little bigger than us. And the kid was basically he died, and we were watching him play, and like the counter was going down. When it's like game over. And Grant thought the kid was gonna lose his turn, so he pushed a button for the kid because the kid wasn't paying attention. And he picked the wrong character, and the guy was like, "You owe me some like money." And Grant was like, "Nah." And we would start walking. They followed us to pull a knife on us, and it was like crazy for nothing happened. Grant's mom drove a van. She was just coincidentally driving by. She started screaming at us. Super embarrassing. It was, but I mean, yeah. Who knows if the kid was ever going to use a knife, really? But it was very important. He's like, "What the fuck, man? That was 50 cents," and he had to like.
Yeah, back in the day, serious. This gaming was like you said, it was some real deal gambling going on, and I come from the generation of the New York Times Square arcades. So it was real deal. You had to go with your boys. You do not go there alone.
Well, it's funny. I actually do remember though. He basically asked us for some money. He had a knife, and he grabbed Grant's ear, and I had $2 on me, and Grant knew that. I was like, "I don't have any money," and Grant's like, "Give him your money, Tony." I was like, "Fuck, man."
Oh, what a friend.
Yeah, I know. If you're listening, Grant, hey man, I'm sorry. The $2 was very important to me.
Yeah, I ain't giving you shit, bro.
you got 2 ears, Grant. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Grant. Thank God you didn't wear an earring. What, he just came right off,
Oh, that's good.
Oh man. But then look at this design here, though. This is where I kind of got Wolverine-ish, but then as the story progressed, I understood what was really going on. But look how dope, man. And again, the color palette, everything, amazing.
And this stuff is really fun to draw. Like I love like what do you call them, cutouts and like in seeing like these skeletons. There's this old Marvel book which basically has like they have like they'll show like a sentinel and they'll show you all the parts inside his body.
The handbook, the Marvel Universe handbook.
Exactly. Yeah. And then there's one on Wolverine's hand. Yeah. So I love that stuff. So this is my like kind of tribute to that. I mean, as a kid, I nerd out. Like I was like, how the hell does Wolverine's? They're in this form. How does that fit? And it's like this thing explained it all. I was like, okay, great.
Oh man, they've gotten even deeper. There was a book I had gotten once that would show the anatomy and how it works of like DC superheroes, or how Superman's cells work and his brains. And I'm like, what? I mean, even deeper. I mean, this is like. You know what? When you release things like this, makes me think that okay, maybe they are coming, and one of us needs to become a superhero doctor or some shit.
If there's money, they'll do it, man. If there's,
bro, we gotta make anything happen. They go over there. What happened to the hair, bro?
It's still there. It's just getting gray.
Yeah, bro. Awesome. There you go. I've been showing these off, no doubt. We're gonna keep talking a little bit, but there we go. Follow the website. Follow social. That's Tony McMillen. The links are below too. So all right. So Attaboy Volume 1. This baby's out now. What's up?
It's coming out end of May. But right now you can still get pre-orders. You go to your shop. There's a diamond code.
Yes.
All that stuff. I'm basically this is my mainstream debut in a way. So I'm hoping to make a huge splash. Thank you. I want to be out there everywhere. It's going to be throughout stores throughout the whole world. So I just want people. If you think this looks cool, give it a try. If the more shops hear orders, they'll probably order an extra one for the shelf or whatever. And I just want to keep that going.
So all right, so you're talking about you're happy that this is getting pimped out. Where you going? Where you going? Doing any cons where we could see you? We could do some signings. What's popping with that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think I actually missed you because I was at Indie Comics Creator Con.
No, you weren't really.
Yeah, I saw your video. I was like, oh shit, man, I was there.
Where were you though?
Honestly, I'm like the first table you see when you walk in. There's like me, and then you go, I guess, left, and there's other stuff. I'm like, so basically I did like the poster for the yellow poster with the guy who's kind of skinless, and he's got a bunch of, I did that poster, so they gave me a really nice table.
I missed you then.
No,
Unless you had people there, because I would normally go to someone, they didn't have anyone there, then I didn't want, because I don't want to stop a sale. You feel me?
No, totally. Honestly, I did pretty well that show, so there's a good chance I just had some people there, whatever.
Yeah, if you had there, I was not going to bother you. I'll tell you that much. Because again, I want you guys to sell. I want to make sure you guys pimp your wares as much as possible. But you know what? Instead of getting 5 minutes, you got a whole lot more time of that. You know what I mean? So even better. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
And talking about that show, how did you feel about that show being a first-year show?
Honestly, fantastic. Like I'll be honest too. Like the night before the first day, everyone I talked to, everyone's hanging out, and we get alone and be like, "Hey man, what do you think? You think it's gonna work?" Like, I don't fucking know. I don't know. It's the first day. It's the first annual thing. I'm kind of worried. Everyone's a little worried. Within an hour, everyone's like, "This is good. This is really good," and it just kept on going. People were there to buy stuff. People were willing to try out new stuff. I had a great time. I did really well. I think most people did really well. Yeah, man, I think year 2 is going to be even bigger. Matt Sardo, the guy who ran the whole thing, I think he did a really good job getting the word out. Yeah, so I think nothing but good things. I can't wait for the next year.
And people love the video, seeing so much talent at a show, and a show that concentrated on creating, no Hollywood, none of that shit. The indies were Hollywood, you know what I mean? And that's what I loved about it. And I love the energy. Everybody was so happy. Everybody was getting attention. The networking was through the roof because there was a lot of people. I was shocked as I walked by. I was here, oh shit. Oh man, I met so many people I've interviewed in the past in person at that show. So it was wonderful. I myself enjoyed it very much.
No, totally. I echo all that too. I had so many people there who was like, oh, I met you on, on Facebook. It's not real, but let's make it real. Let's shake hands. Let's talk to each other. And it was like meeting old friends like a million times. That was great.
So I want to talk about indies for a minute because I don't know if you heard about the Heroic Awards, which is an indie comic books award show that's going to be popping off at C2E2 this year, and I happen to be the MC. So we're going to be celebrating independent comic book creators on all levels. Let me show you something real quick, folks. Check it out, because this says this year C2E2. There we go. Celebrating indie, baby. I'm so excited. I mean, are you going to C2E2 since you're pimping yourself, or what's popping? What shows are you doing? You're telling about one that you did, but we need to know what you're doing.
I wish I was going to C2E2. It looks amazing. I've actually never been to Chicago. I have had friends. My wife lived in Chicago briefly. I've never been there. But so I am going to do Heroes Con. Heroes Con, this will be my second year doing Heroes Con. It was incredible. Like I had a great time. I met a lot of people, met some good friends, sold some books. Got to meet legends. Like it was crazy. It was one of those things where Heroes Con was a place where I'd be talking to somebody for an hour and then eventually go, "Hey, what's your name?" And be, "Oh, you're like somebody I've been reading since I was like a 15-year-old kid." That's amazing. That was great. So I'm hoping to do that experience again. I'm going to be doing probably there's a really good indie show called Mice here in Massachusetts. That's Massachusetts Indie Comics. Expo.
I'm in Mass myself, so I haven't been to that one yet.
Yeah, Mice is great, man. I've been Mice is curated, so they try to every year they don't give the same people a chance. But I did like 3 years in a row. I had a table, and last year I didn't, which is fine. But this year I'm going to go in again, and so hopefully I get it. But there's always great creators, new people, young people, new comics, weird comics. Like
when is this?
It's this year's actually December. Usually October. They moved it to December. It's like December 8th or something like that.
Great. I got a plan way ahead. Awesome. I'll definitely lock it down. And we meet over there. I'll get you a brew, brother.
Oh hell yeah, I'm way into that, man. But yeah, you should check out Mice. Mice is I got nothing but great things to say about Mice. And besides that, I'm looking for some more shows to go into. Like Mad Cave's talking to me. You know, they're in Florida, so maybe a show around there. And I'm also I would love an excuse to go back to California. I haven't been there in a bit.
SDCC, yeah, man, you got to do that. WonderCon just passed, but over here in Mass, what's the one that's coming up? Oh my, Wicked.
Yeah, I did Wicked last year. No, that was a really good show. So I'd be down
I
to
heard
do
the
that
year
again.
before it was even way better. I mean, a little drop, and I went last year, so okay, I was like, okay, you know, it was okay for me. I gotta be honest about things. You know what I mean? For me, it's okay.
Well, it's funny. I have plenty of people who they went there 2 years ago, and they're like, "Oh, it was amazing." And then that year I was there. I was like, "Hey, so it's okay." They're like, "I don't know. I don't tell you. The weather's not good or something. It wasn't up to what it was the year before." I had a buddy named Clay who was like almost apologized. He's like, "Yeah, I swear to God, last year it was bananas."
I thought it was. You know, everybody was excited. You know, on that one of the first cons post COVID. You know, so everybody was fucking homesick. And finally, you know, sick of being at the crib. Oh shit, a con! Let's all go! Yo, shit, freedom!
No, that's totally the factor. Exactly. That's the thing that's missing. You can't really beat that. I mean,
so if anything, then maybe we got to put people on lockdown for 3 months and then do a show,
so I can sell some books. Come on, let's do this.
Everybody put a lockdown. Creators got to sell. All right. Open up cons every 6 months or some shit, you know. Oh, lockdown over until the next show. All right. All right. I dig it. All right. So you have some things coming. So, you know, great. Lastly, advice, you know, on your journey, man, because, you know, you've been doing this not too long even, you know, as compared to most, but you got some firework. I'm excited for you on this one because I think you have something really special here because I enjoyed it front to back. I actually read the whole thing. You know, non-interrupted for a change. Thank you, my friend, for not bothering me at that time because it's like, I enjoyed it. And then I caught feels. I caught the vibe. I put myself back into place. It's like a conversation we just had. I mean, you were bringing me back to New York City video games. You know what I mean?
Dude, thank you so much for saying all that. I appreciate it. All I can say advice-wise is, you know, I think it's really good to develop healthy habits. And all I mean is like the more you can run on autopilot, the better and easier things will be. And you mean like if you got to work every day, draw every day, make that happen. So you don't have to think about it. It's just a given. And also I think it's really important to try to, if you're just starting out, do something small so you can finish it. And what's good about finishing stuff is once you finish a couple things, you realize you're not so precious about things because this is not going to be the only thing you ever make. And so you can just improve on the next one. Some people get stuck doing one thing. They want to make it perfect and they never finish it. And that's almost nothing because it's never going to be out there. It's okay to have imperfect stuff. So make small stuff, finish it. And eventually you're going to have more practice. You're going to be better. And you're also going to be not so worried about stuff. You go, hey, this is my 5th book. There's going to be a 6th one. There's going to be a 7th one. There's going to be an 8th one. It's okay if this is not where I want to be. So I think that's what helped me is getting through that barrier.
There we go, folks. You heard that? Follow that as some real talk right there. So I appreciate you. One last time, mi gente, is what we're going to do. You got to follow Tony all over the socials. He locked it down like a boss. Tony McMillen. That's Tony, TonyMcMillen, all over the place on the social hoods, all right? And of course, you can follow the website spelled the same.com. All right. And show some love for Mad Cave, an amazing publisher that supports indie. You got some fire books, and they're dropping Attaboy, as you heard, you know, in May. So, you know, go to your LCS right now. Put this on your pull list. You know, want this. Big shout out to Mel from DHPR for the connection. You know, she's amazing, doing wonderful work and helping independent creators and, you know, and helping them connect too and get their stuff out there. So good job. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, my Crusaders that tuned in. I appreciate the crap out of you guys. All right. Got big hugs for you. You guys stay safe. You know, be good, stay motivated, all right, and show some love, all right, to everybody out there, because you know it's already rough. But let's stay good, all right, not hood. Para que sepan, hasta la próxima.
Thank you for listening to the Comic Crusaders podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, please visit comiccrusaders.shop and our extended podcast family over at undercovercapes.com. And also, make sure to download the Comic Crusaders app on the Google Play Store today.